Hello there, Greco again. This time it's a S-style guitar, and I've never had an S-style with a maple fretboard, believe it or not. So I was a bit curious to try it out when this appeared. All the way from Japan, this ended up at my place. Wow, these days you can make anything happen. So this is a 1977 Japanese jam. And I love the color. It's more like a cream white, I think, more than an Olympic white. And as good as it may play and look now, I really thought I'd bought a dud when I first got it. Something that's not working as intended. Well, it was really bad setup. So when I started playing it at first, it was just unpleasant, not inspiring at all. Too high action, and yeah, I was really off this guitar. So I've really done everything more or less that has to do with setup. But I started with the frets, so I needed to level them out and get them back to their shine, polish them. And now they are very good. It's not much wear on them really. I don't know if they are replaced. I can't see any traces of that. So I think these are original frets. So the wear on this guitar is not any artificial relic. It's probably from years and years of this guitar being played. It's a poly lacquer, but it has had some dings and some wear to it. Yeah, it came with this back plate here, but I didn't mount it again because I think it works better without it. I think it will vibrate more freely without this, and the sound will be better. It's just something in my head. I don't know. Okay, so I checked the electronics. I took off this pickguard to see what's underneath, and you can see here that the pots and electronics, at least the pots looks to be replaced. They are something called Alpha. I don't believe that that is original. And on the pickups it says XL. So I think that might be Maxon pickups. Maybe you can tell me, I'm not sure. My impression is that the pickups are original. And it's a three-way switch. Original vintage specs on this. Not too fond of the three-way switch. If I'm to keep this guitar, I will probably replace it for a modern five-way switch. I know that you can squeeze it in between the positions, but I really don't use the in-between that much, but I like the option of having it. And I checked that I need to fiddle a bit to get it to stay in the in-between positions. Okay, so that was that. The tuners are Greco tuners, so they are also probably original. They work fine, no problem with the tuners. And I have to say that I've never had issues or problem with the tuners on my Japanese Grecos. They've all been working. I replaced them on my hollow body, the SE-500, but that was just for aesthetical reasons. So I have the original ones laying in a drawer here, so they are perfectly fine. I've seen some people say that, or advise that if you get one of these old vintage Japanese guitars, you should probably replace the hardware, like the tuners. I don't think that's necessary. Try it first and check it, because they really run smoothly and keep tuning. There's no problems with that. Okay, so to the setup of the vibrato system. I call it the vibrato system because that's what it is. It's not a tremolo. Many people say the trem system. I've probably been guilty of that as well, but it's the vibrato really. So tremolo is when the sound level goes up and down. Vibrato is when the tone pitch varies. So this will alter the pitch. So the first thing I checked was the claw. So the screws here was put pretty tight to keep that block here really firm, and so it didn't move. So and the plate here was really pushing down on the body. So I loosened that to have some way to work with. And I put my springs like this, like a goose foot, if you like. I believe it gives a bit less tension maybe when they are like this, when the two are diagonal, than if all three go straight up. That's also probably just in my head. And I also like to have that claw to be further in on the thick E string side than on the light side, because I think there's more pull on that side. I don't know if that's true either. I just do it. Old habits. I probably saw someone say that once, and yeah, that's of course makes sense. So I like my trem not to be floating, meaning that I don't like it to come up, so I have a way to go backwards to raise the pitch. I like it to be sat flat on the surface of the body, and I like it to be just about touching, so it's not very pushing very hard against it. And in that way, the trem will run pretty smooth when I work it. But there's one more thing, and that is with these kind of systems that has these 6 screws here. What I've learned from the Fender Academy, really, I found a video somewhere from the Fender Academy. I can't find it again, so I can't link to it. But I found that, and that showed that when you first install this, you screw all the screws all the way in, but then you go back a turn. So there is a bit of room to move for this plate here, so it can come up a bit. If you have them screwed all the way in, the plate here will lift a bit up on the back side, and it will be really hard to get it flush with the body. So turn them all the way in, but then release them a turn or so back to have it come up a bit. And from there it's just to adjust the claw again. So if it comes a bit up now, you will have to tighten the claw, and you have to go a bit to and from to adjust that until it's perfect. And now the tension feels really nice on this guitar. And it keeps the tuning. And it's also important to tend to the nut. I check the nut first for that in the first fret, if you can push the strings down so it alters the pitch. If the groove is so high that when you press down here, you can almost push a semitone up or maybe more, then you have to adjust the nut so it's coming down. You can use a tuner really if you don't want to go by ear to see that it doesn't affect the pitch when you press down on the first fret. So that's a lot of guitar players' frustration, that when you play the cowboy chords down here, it gets out of tune compared to when you play the bard's chords up the neck. That is most likely because the grooves in the nut is put too high up, so that it will change the pitch when you press in the first fret, even in the second fret if it's too high. So that's very important to tend to that. And I use the spacer to avoid that I go too deep. And then I lubricate the grooves with some graffiti from a pencil. It will turn black and dirty, so if you don't like that, you might have to look for something else. There are stuff to be bought that is made for lubricating the grooves, so you can use that if you like. The action is also adjusted to be fine, so it's very close to the fretboard all the way up. The neck is straight. When I first got it, I thought that, wow, this neck doesn't even have a truss rod because there's no skunk stripe here. So I thought maybe I can't even adjust if it has a relief or if it has a back bow. But it turned out it has a truss rod, so there is a maple fretboard. You can see it here that it is thin stripe here that is marking where the fretboard is, but I didn't see that at first. But luckily it has a truss rod, it has a working truss rod, and I was able to adjust it, so it's perfectly fine. So this guitar turned out to be not a dud, but a perfect guitar. It's all about the setup, really. So for the pickups, I will say that I like the neck pickup and I like the middle pickup. But the bridge pickup is a bit bright and thin for my taste. So if I'm to keep this guitar, I might see if I can find another bridge pickup, or maybe put a bridge plate, back plate, or whatever it's called, to dampen some of the high frequencies on that, make it a bit fuller, maybe. If you like this kind of content and would like to see more of it, you know what to do.